It's Riders on deck for the final time here in Springdale as the Roughriders try to finish out this series with a win, and we get you set with another episode of Riders on Deck. Alongside Nathan Barnett, I'm Ryan Rouillard. Glad to have you with us here on Riders TV for this Tuesday evening affair, and we'll get into plenty of what's ahead tonight, but let's look back at last night briefly. Yu Darvish took the mound, his first rehab start of his second rehab assignment this year, in 2 innings. Maybe not his best, but he still looked pretty good last night.
Yeah, he did, and he even admitted after the outing that he was tinkering quite a bit. He tried a different configuration of his fingers in his glove hand. He threw a different changeup that he hasn't thrown this year, and the velocity was there. So, those first 2 walks he opened up with 8 straight balls. I think he kind of credited that to tinkering maybe a little bit too much. The rest of the way, he threw a really good percentage for strikes, and, he struck out 5 hitters. I think that's a really important thing to see. Really only had 1, maybe 2 really hard hit balls against him through his 2+ innings, facing a little more than 10 hitters. So I think all in all, it was pretty strong for Darvish. And he said the big thing, which is what we talked about yesterday on Riders on Deck, was that he wanted to make sure he came out of the game feeling good. He came out of his last start in Texas feeling pain in his shoulder, and he didn't have any pain in his shoulder yesterday. So that's the most important thing. And all signs look towards another rehab start in the minor leagues, maybe with the Roughriders this weekend at home. And all signs point towards a green light for that next step.
Darvish trying to get back to the majors soon. Meanwhile, one former Rough Rider is on his way today. Jose Leclerc, promoted earlier from AAA Round Rock, and going to AAA Round Rock is Rough Riders lefty Yohander Mendez. So a couple of good signs for pitchers in the Rangers organization today.
Yeah, and starting with Leclerc, what a great story this year. I mean, a guy that really struggled last year in the rotation, was having a tough time in the rotation to start the year, all of a sudden looked like a guy that went from being an uber prospect to somebody maybe on the fringes of even being a prospect anymore. They move him back to the bullpen, and he recaptures his 2014 self when he was one of the best relief prospects in the organization, if not the minor leagues. And now here he is going up to the big leagues with a chance to help the back end of the Rangers bullpen. And who knows, with his stuff and his velocity, he has a chance to be a big-time contributor, maybe even stick up there for a long time, if not the entire season. And Yohander Mendez, the understanding is that it's going to be a spot start for him. He's just going to have a chance to go up and work in AAA and help the AAA staff that's been decimated by injuries and promotions and roster moves, but give them a chance to catch a breather. And a great opportunity for Mendez to take his 21 years of age. He'll be the youngest player on the Round Rock roster by more than a year and challenge himself against AAA hitters. He hasn't had a whole lot of challenge here in AA so far.
Yeah, he was very strong. He was supposed to make the start yesterday, but Darvish takes his spot, so he moves up a level instead, and that works out pretty well for him. Meanwhile, the Riders, as they stand here tonight, they have a big game coming up, trying to avoid a sweep here in Springdale. A tough loss last night, but I think it would make up for a little bit at least if they can get a win here tonight and take that positive vibe back to Frisco tomorrow.
It would. I mean, you don't want to get swept going back home, and the Roughriders have played a couple of close games here. Even though they lost 6-2 in Game 1, it was a couple of pitches really that was the difference. And the Roughriders are having a tough time. They're just 3-8 here in the second half, and it'd be nice to get some momentum moving back in their direction going home, taking on these same 2 teams and show that they can compete with both Arkansas and Northwest.
Right, they've out-hit the Naturals both games so far here, but they've come out on the short end both times so far. Game 3 of this 3-game set comes up at 5:35, a little bit earlier start here tonight. That's a 5 o'clock Dr. Pepper pregame show featuring catcher Kellen Deglin. For Nathan Barnett, I'm Ryan Rouillard saying so long for now from Springdale. We'll talk to you soon on the air, but we sign off for now on Riders on Deck here on Riders TV.